Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving straight into the latest Portland Bureau of Development Services permit data, along with some brand new 2026 industry trends, to show you exactly why the accessory dwelling unit landscape has completely transformed. Seriously, if you think you know what an ADU is, prepare to be surprised. The data tells this fascinating story of a market that has rapidly evolved from simple, basic backyard structures to incredibly sophisticated permanent residences. All right, let's just shatter an old myth right out of the gate. We are no longer building temporary, gas-powered rental boxes. That era, it's firmly in the rearview mirror. Instead, the focus has entirely shifted toward high-performance, all-electric, integrated, multi-generational homes. It's a fundamental shift from just building a quick little accessory to actually building a true, permanent second home right in the backyard. So, to wrap our heads around this massive shift, this explainer is going to cover 5 key areas: the new ADU paradigm, exteriors and structural integration, hyper-efficient interior spaces, designing for the future, and finally, a reality check on costs, timelines, and realities. Starting off with Section 1, the new ADU paradigm. The absolute crucial point we're seeing from the city permit data is that homeowners are completely shifting their mindset. They're moving away from those tactical, short-term rental income projects and leaning heavily into permanent asset building. Why? Well, traditional real estate is incredibly expensive right now, and families need flexible solutions. These structures are being meticulously planned as primary homes for aging parents or adult children. We're talking about a true generational investment, not just a quick cash flow play. Let's move to Section 2, exteriors and structural integration. This whole trend is all about being integrated, not isolated. Gone are the days of just dropping a generic, modern box behind a 100-year-old house. For example, if you have a classic Craftsman in Laurelhurst, your new ADU is going to be a matching Craftsman. We're seeing intense architectural cohesion, where roof lines, window casings, and rich natural materials, like that beautiful dark-stained vertical grain cedar siding, perfectly echo the main house. It creates a beautifully unified aesthetic for the entire property. Now check out this number, 80%. According to early 2026 project data, a staggering 80% of new ADU plans explicitly requested heat pump HVAC systems. Gas lines are officially out. Between heat pumps and induction cooktops, going all electric is the undisputed new standard in Portland. And this push to ditch gas is driven by both ambitious climate goals and a very real need for predictable construction timelines. We're seeing intense demand for net zero readiness. Homeowners in environmentally conscious spots like Selwood and Mount Tabor are pairing these electric systems with high-performance weather envelopes. Plus, to bypass Portland's famous weather delays, advanced prefab systems from companies like IdeaBox and Dweller are gaining massive traction. It's all about ensuring quality control and efficiency right from day one. Which brings us to Section 3, hyper-efficient interior spaces. You know that classic kitchen work triangle everyone always talks about? Yeah, it's dead. When you're working with a 500 square foot footprint, you literally cannot afford to waste space on those old rules. Designers have had to completely throw out the playbook, getting incredibly creative with hyper-efficient layouts that maximize function without totally taking over the house. The secret here is creating really clear landing zones. We're seeing a massive shift toward Galleon single-wall layouts that prioritize generous prep zones right between the sink and the cooktop. And the storage? It's getting absolutely genius. Custom integrated solutions from local shops like Kerf Design are popping up everywhere. Think toe kick drawers hidden right at floor level and pull-out full-height pantries. These clever cabinet solutions make a tiny kitchen feel expansive without eating into your living room. And as for finishes, that cold, glossy, minimalist vibe is officially out. It's been replaced by a much more grounded, authentic Pacific Northwest palette that prioritizes warmth and subtle textures. We're talking beautifully rich, rift-cut white oak custom cabinetry paired with the organic, matte feel of honed quartzite. It really makes these smaller spaces feel incredibly inviting and high-end. Because honestly, single-use rooms are completely out. An 800 square foot unit absolutely has to function like a much larger home. It does this through flexible third spaces that serve multiple daily functions. Picture a built-in desk alcove that seamlessly closes up at the end of the workday, or a living room with a perfectly integrated custom-milled Murphy bed for when guests crash. Every single piece of furniture, like dining benches with hidden storage, has to pull double duty. Let's pivot to Section 4, designing for the future. Nothing highlights this long-term thinking better than the bathroom. The defining trend here is the curbless wet room. By eliminating the shower enclosure entirely and waterproofing the whole room, you create one continuous, accessible space. We're seeing these paired with sleek wall-hung vanities in high-end projects everywhere, from Alameda to the West Hills. It completely revolutionizes how a small bathroom functions. It feels vastly larger and is incredibly easy to maintain. What this really comes down to is practical compassion. More than ever, Portlanders are building these spaces with aging parents in mind. Making aging in place a standard request right from day one is huge. We're talking zero-threshold entryways, wider doorways, lever-style handles, and putting blocking in the walls for future grab bars. It ensures the home remains a comfortable, viable sanctuary for family for decades to come. And finally, Section 5, Costs, Timelines, and Realities. Let this number sink in for a second. $320,000. City permit data clearly shows this is now the average cost for a new, detached accessory dwelling unit in Portland. This number perfectly reflects that fundamental shift we've been talking about, moving away from a basic rental box to a premium, long-term asset. Of course, your scope dictates your price. If you do a 400-square-foot garage conversion in Laurelhurst, you might be looking at around $210,000. Excavate a basement in Sellwood, you're up to nearly $300,000. But a brand new 650-square-foot detached high-performance build in Mount Tabor with significant site work and high-end finishes, that can easily hit $385,000. But you can't forget about labor. Prevailing wages for skilled trades, which are tracked by the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries, are high. That means your budget needs a really solid safety net. Just like the National Association of Home Builders recommends, a 10 to 15% contingency is pretty much non-negotiable, especially when you're dealing with older properties. And if you're planning one of these projects, strap in for the long haul. The whole process, from concept to getting the keys, frequently takes up to a year and a half. You're looking at up to 5 months just for design and engineering, another 6 months navigating the city permitting process, and up to 9 months for the actual on-site construction. Patience is absolutely a requirement. Because during that year and a half, stuff is going to come up. Unforeseen site conditions, especially on these older Portland lots, can add massive, unexpected delays. We're talking complex zoning reviews, sudden needs for seismic upgrades, massive grading just to connect utilities, or the classic Portland surprise, unearthing a buried oil tank exactly where your foundation needs to go. This makes having a highly experienced contractor an absolute necessity to navigate those hurdles. So, I'll leave you with this thought to mull over for your own property. Because as the data and trends clearly show, the era of the cheap, temporary accessory dwelling is completely over. The decisions you make today about integration, performance, and accessibility, they aren't just about adding square footage. They are about defining exactly how your family will live for decades. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this helps you build a smarter future.